Today we're going to be studying our UCAT examination. So it's the revision videos that I'm going to be doing here with the help of a study pen for speed reading, because I thought it might actually help. It's called a Smart Pen. I bought it from eBay. So when I did the speed reading for my driving theory test, I got 78% in 2005. Then I got 76%. And then I got another 74%. And then I did it again and I got 76%. So that's for the driving theory test, and I didn't actually pass the test because you need actually, I think, 89 at that time. But I know that I'd get a first class degree. So I'm going to be studying my MBBS in 2027. I will be 54 at that time. Yes, I am 54 years old. So I thought it would be a great time in my life that had no family commitments to actually return to studying. And I had no more health issues that I did before, which I actually improved my health by studying another book, which I will show you if you've got any health issues that might actually help you, which is this book. So this is really helpful if you have a lot of health issues related to pain. So this can really help you. It's on eBay and Amazon. It's, I mean, as a practice in which for 20 years, I would say this is the best book compared to Satanism or any form of devil worship or any other sort of Norse magic. Norse magic can help you with this book. I also do Norse magic. I have a associate in Denmark who does charms for me. She's on Etsy. And I find that it's very powerful if you use it with the doers and also the with the Norse magic and maybe basic Wicca, like honey jars, that might help as well. If you feel that you're getting like psychic attacks of pain, maybe migraines or hand pains, wrist pains, there's probably someone in your social circle who doesn't want you to study, or some sort of attack like that. I mean, if you're into tarot cards and pendulums and pendulum boards, I guess like this, then you can actually pick up on that energies that are attacking your body or your mind that may actually make you say, oh, maybe I should just quit studying. So the thing is that you need to ask Allah to block out psychic attacking energy to your energy fields, your aura, your chakras, so, and also your energy fields, and you need to kind of protect your education. If you're just say in if your associates are like pagans or Satanists for 20 years, and you're like, okay guys, I need to leave you alone and get on with my own life, then they're like, oh, but we were friends for X amount of years, how can you do this to us? And then you'll say, well, I need to move on with my life. I feel that this is a path that I need to take. And then they get all bitchy, basically, and say, okay, she thinks she's bigger than us now, right? She's going to university. I mean, these guys are in their 60s, right? But they act like they're 13 years old. And I'm like trying to improve my life, right? I'm very intelligent. I shouldn't be just, say, getting left behind with the world. So I said to myself, if I'm more intelligent than my own doctor, maybe I should go to medical school. I mean, then she's like, oh my God. Actually, I want to specialize in emergency medicine. Sadly, my son died in 2020. And I said, if I had to be a doctor back then, I may have actually saved my son's own life. And I had the medical equipment, like life-saving equipment in the third bedroom. I could have actually saved my son's life, but I said I wasn't a qualified doctor because I spent most of my life looking after him and homeschooling him. And I didn't have any time for myself, right? So the teachers weren't teaching him at the age of 4, so I said, okay, if they're going to be like that, and they have no what's it called, books in the school, then I might as well actually do it myself, right? So as I was saying, we're gonna study now. I did my this book, right, is 800 pages long. So I did a study plan last night, which was to read 8 pages a day for 16 weeks, and to revise that 8 pages with the videos, to know exactly what I'm doing when I come to the exam. It's an entrance exam for medical school. Only about 35 medical schools in Britain do the UCAT test entrance exam. So I said to myself, I'll revise that way with the videos, with the reading the book. I can go back to the videos, know what I was talking about, recite it like the Quran. Now with the Quran, if you've ever read it, you actually sing the first letters of the Quran, and I think you repeat it about 3 times. So I said, if I did it with a version of this book, I probably will be able to get 78 or more points during the UCAT exam. Because I did my mini MBA test a few years ago, which was in 2018, and I got I think I got about 80 for the mini MBA. Doing the reciting technique of the Quran. And I got that in 2 weeks, which was pretty cool. Because it was a 12 months course. And I did it in 2 weeks. So it does actually help singing. It's like repeating your times table when you were like in primary school. Your 2 times table has a rhythm. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4. So it's like a rhythm that you have when you're revising, reading the Quran. There's like a rhythm to it. So you actually remember more if you recite what you're studying as a song than just reading it through. So we'll begin with the introduction of the UCAT test. Which is the UCAT. This pen actually can help if you can't see very well. So if you put the scanner on, I've just put the scanner on, and it looks like that. If you can see, it says please scan as vertically as possible. So you scan the first line of the test. I mean off the page, sorry.
The UCAT University Clinical Aptitude Test is dosing net.
So the UCAT University Clinical Aptitude Test is designed to assess a spectrum of skills in candidates to medical and dental schools, ranging from their ability to manipulate data and numbers to their ability to draw meaningful conclusions from somewhat incomplete or confusing data. So you would need to explain what is in the data, coherently. So you could say, firstly, this is this. Secondly, this is this. Thirdly, in conclusion, I guess short note form. They didn't say if it was a multiple choice question, which means basically you tick the boxes that you think is the most appropriate answer to it. Okay, the difficulty in such tests does not rest so much in the actual difficulty of each question independently. Ultimately, if given proper time to do the test, everyone would greatly get a fairly high score, but in the fact that the candidates only have a few seconds to get it right, it is the added pressure which makes many candidates stress on that day. So it's actually a timed examination paper. You need to have very, very quick reaction to the question. So it's a bit like the hazard perception test for the driving. But I actually got high marks on that. So if you want to have the experience of going for a hazard perception driving test, then go and do that before you do the UCAT test. So at least you're prepared. Or else you could just, I don't know if you can keep on repeating it, but I think there's just one test and that's it. On the day they'll say if you got the place or you haven't. As a result, although there is no such need to revise any specific material to answer any of the questions, those who have made a maximum amount of practice will fare much better than the others. Exactly, so they just contradicted themselves. Not only will they know what to expect from each type of question and will therefore spend less time, I can't even say, on less time on the day of the test to get used to the format of the test. They will also have familiarized themselves with all the potential traps that can be laid by the examiners. In addition, by practicing intensely, candidates will have have learned valuable techniques that will save them a considerable amount of time on the day. With over 1,300 questions spanning over 800 pages, this book contains an overwhelming range of exercises that will enable all UCAT candidates to refine and optimize their technique to answer questions under strict time constraints. But again, they didn't say how many hours or minutes the UCAT time is, so I would probably have to research that on ChatGPT or Google Gemini to see what time the test is. This book replicates the breadth and depth of the different types of questions that can be answered in live UCAT. The spectrum of difficulties that it covers from normal to stretching makes it an ideal preparation tool for all those who want to achieve a high score and maximize their chances of getting into the medical school of their choice. Good luck with your preparations. Okay, so that is the first part done. So we're going to read the next pages. Okay, that's all that I have to study. All we have to study. And okay, this is the background page. If you can see that. The UCAT was set up by a group of medical schools with a view of assessing in the selection of candidates for entry and medical and dental schools by testing a range of abilities relative to the context of their degree and their subsequent professional life. The testing is computerized and takes place under controlled conditions in each of the 150 testing centers every year, typically between early July and early October. So the UCAT test for my university will be during July 2026 and October 2026 if you want to get a place for 2027. Full details of how the exam is run and the universities to which of the test applies can be found each year off the official UCAT's website at www.ucat.ac.uk. which you can see there. So that might be helpful to have a look at the website to prepare, because now we're in April, so I could actually read this entire book in about 6 hours. Well, probably 12 hours. Maybe 18 hours. I could finish the whole book in 18 hours. I actually got a new webcam, which is a business webcam, and it compresses the files for you, which helps a lot when you're having problems uploading it. I'll get the box and show you what webcam I used, in case you wonder. I can never get these files uploaded on YouTube. It's just so big. So I'll show you what camera I used. So this is the webcam. It's a business webcam, so it actually compresses the files while you're uploading them, which is kind of easy to upload on YouTube. It doesn't take like hours and hours to upload. It's like really quick and easy. That's what I was told on ChatGPT. So the test comprises of 5 distinctive sections, which reminds me of the SEMA test that I took in, I think, 2015. But the SEMA test was really, really confusing, because I thought it was one test paper that was for all the questions. And they had like different sections of the test that I never even read up on. So I'm prepared. SEMA is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, if you didn't know what it is. So I'm preparing for this one, because I said that I may not have the full knowledge of it. I actually studied a diploma in nursing before, so I might be more clued up with what is the requirements of it, with the 6 C's of nursing. And the other is the practice of nursing. There's another one which I've sort of forgotten about. So that kind of helps with the UCAT test. So the test comprises of 5 distinct sections, which are taken one after the other at the exam and are timed separately. The 5 sections are as follows: quantitative reasoning, the section tests the candidate's ability to manipulate data and interpret charts, tables, and other numerical information in order to resolve problems. This quantitative reasoning section contains 36 numerical questions, which must be answered in a total of 24 minutes. So you probably have 30 seconds to answer one question, plus 1 minute to read the instructions. For explanation techniques and quantitative reasoning practice exercises, go to page 11. Okay, and the second part of the exam is abstract reasoning. The abstract reasoning section of the test assesses the candidate's ability to analyze information in the environment where there are distracting features, to derive and test hypotheses, and to query their judgment when needed. So basically, you need to evaluate information. I'm not sure how young you are, but I mean, I'm 53 years old and I have a lot of experience in life and in education and in politics and in social studies, and I actually did my first half of the Open University in like the last century. And that was, let me think, 2003. Okay. We're in the 21st century now, right? We're not in the 20th century. We're in the 21st century. So, actually, I get educated in the 21st century because it was 2003. My Open University in social studies. So, but here it says you need to evaluate the information. This is achieved by asking candidates to identify relationships between various abstract shapes. The section contains 55 questions that must be answered in 13 minutes. The section contains plus 1 minute to read the instructions for explanation techniques and abstract reasoning practice exercises, page on 190. So, verbal reasoning. This section tests the candidate's ability to analyze an important amount of text in order to determine whether specific conclusions can be drawn from the information presented. The tests include 11 pieces of text, each of the approximately 200 to 300 words. Each piece of text attracts 4 questions. All 44 resulting questions must be answered in 21 minutes plus 1 minute. To read the instructions for explanations, techniques, and verbal reasoning practice exercises, go to page 267. So you need to have a lot of practice with this book, and you also need to time yourself. So you need to have, I don't know, you could do it, use your phone. I mean, my phone has like different segments that you can say 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then you can write a little note on it. My phone is Nokia, so you can do it that way. Or you can also use it online. You can have like online alarm clocks that you can see on websites. I usually use the timer online for my cooking, so I don't burn my food, because my cooker doesn't have a timer. So the next one, the fourth section. Okay, so what we read through is the quantitative reasoning, abstract reasoning, verbal reasoning is the third one. that we just finished. The next two is decision making and situational judgments, which also come in handy when you're doing the hazard perception tests as car drivers. I think you all remember it. So, decision making. This section tests the candidate's ability to solve problems, manage risks, and deal with uncertainty. It consists of 29 questions, some of which contain several questions, associated with text, charts, tables, graphs, and diagrams, which must be answered in 31 minutes plus 1 minute to read the instructions for explanations, techniques, and decision making exercises. Go to page 401. Okay, situational judgments. This section assesses the candidate's ability to understand real world situations and to identify critical factors and appropriate behavior in dealing with them. It consists of 69 questions relating to 22 different scenarios, which must be answered in 26 minutes plus 1 minute to read the instructions for explanations, techniques, and situational judgments exercise. Go to page 513. Uses of calculator and whiteboard. Calculators are given on the day of the exam. You cannot use your own calculator. And I bought a state-of-the-art calculator that you can even do graphs on. So that it's a waste of money. You want to see that one? It's not actually cheating unless you've got a smartwatch. Because a smartwatch can actually go on the internet during an exam hall. But I think most of the exam halls, right, they check if your watch is not a smartwatch. Because one guy in the job interview, right, he had a smartwatch and he cheated the test. He said, I know exactly what to do now. I just go with my smartwatch. And I said, but that's cheating. And he said, yeah, but the guy doesn't know that I did it. I've been everywhere, seriously. I have a lot of knowledge. So I guess buy a smartwatch when you're having a job interview, right? You know, at least go to ChatGPT and see what they say. The other one is having a body cam. I bought a body cam on eBay. So if you don't remember what the guy is telling you on the interview day, yeah, you can say, at least I got it on my body cam and I remember the question now clearly. He might not actually know what it is. Unless you tell him it's actually a body cam. I'm recording this interview. You can actually put it in your pocket. You know, one of those patch pockets that some shirts have, or your blazer. You could put it in there, and you could like have a buttonhole, like a fake buttonhole, and carry it there. And you may never actually know what you're carrying, because it just looks like a padded pocket on your blazer or jumper, whatever you're wearing. Body cams are really tiny, very tiny. So my one I can show you, but I don't want anyone saying to the university or the job interview, oh well, so and so told us to have one, because that wouldn't be fair for me. You know, if you want to get ahead in life, you're going to have to do certain things to get ahead in life. But I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I bought this on eBay. So it looks like that. I think they use it in China. The Chinese police use this in China because it's from China. It looks like that. So it's kind of very small. So if you compare it to a phone and that, like, so it's very tiny compared to it. And don't tell anybody I told you. So then you got everything recorded, because even you can record, like when you're lecturing in university, when you have the lectures, you can ask the teacher, please, could I record the lessons? And she might just say, is this for personal use? Because I don't want it uploaded on YouTube. And I'll say, well, maybe if it's uploaded on YouTube, more and more people will come to the university. You know, especially those people who are interested in medicine. So they might actually make some more money. Or they could actually do online courses, right? They could do online courses. And then I'll say, oh my gosh, you know, if we had an online course, we'd make more money because everyone could just buy it online, and we'll just do it like that. It actually might be an idea for them to have an online MBBS course, and foreign students have to pay like £60,000. I know it's a lot of money. Foreign students have a lot of money because they ask their parents from Bahrain, can we have some money? And we need some pocket money too. They have a whole, you know, these Arab students, they have a hell of a lot of money. And most of them, they drive Porsche or Ferrari. Yeah, if you have friends who are Arab students, they have a lot of money. So I think that's why some universities take advantage, because sometimes they even they don't make them pass. Some teachers are really, really cruel, you know, they don't make them pass, so they keep on repeating the same course all the time for more money, and that's not even fair. That's really, really unfair. You know, teachers need to just say, okay, next year we're gonna have a new batch of students coming in. I already do my honey jars. I do my honey jars for my teachers. I do my honey jars for everything that's going around in my life. So I have a lot of faith because I do my honey jars. So you need to use a little bit of divination, or what they call witchcraft, to help yourself in life. There's a lot of so-called medical workers that I know that used witchcraft to get where they are today. It's mostly love spells. Some of them use sex spells, but I wouldn't do that. So they manipulate their teachers to fall in love with them, have explicit relations with their students, the teachers, and then they tell the teachers, well, if you don't pass me, I'll tell them that I have X, Y, and Z over you. They even blackmail the teachers. Some of them do. Some of them did. Others actually got pregnant by their teachers and ended up having like 5 kids from different various teachers when they were in university. I think that's so weird. But you can get you can actually create more problems in your life if you do love spells or sex spells like that. I mean, I just do honey jars, right, for what I want to achieve my goal in, how people will perceive me to be, and they'll help me and things like that. I don't do love or sex spells. No, don't do things like that. Obviously, I have a high regard for my reputation, and that's what other students, if they want to go around doing that sort of thing, they need to think before they do anything like that. They need to think about the reputation that they're going to have, because a bad reputation can follow you around like a shadow. Anyway, as I was saying, calculators are given on the day of the exam. You cannot use your own calculator. They'll give you one. They also contain no scientific functions and are available on screen only. So I think you might have to have a notebook on you to do the working out. If you're used to like doing charts and stuff, you might need a notebook to bring with you into the exam hall. You might have to ask permission to bring an ordinary notebook into the exam hall and ask them if it's allowed to do that. You also might need to test yourself without a notebook. You're not allowed any paper to write calculations. Oh my God. Or information down. However, you will normally be given a whiteboard and marker pens before the exam starts. Oh, that's helpful. But doesn't that mean the same thing? Yeah, it does mean the same thing, isn't it? Check also whether the whiteboard can be erased. In some centres, you are deliberately given whiteboards which can't be erased, and you are required to ask for a new one whenever one has been filled. If that is the case, ensure you know the local procedure to obtain a new whiteboard whenever you need one. Okay. So, okay, we'll run down on the times of the exams. So, the quantitative reasoning, you're given just 24 minutes for the exam. And you need to answer 36 questions in that time. Then the abstract reasoning, you are given 13 minutes to answer 55 questions. So the verbal reasoning, you are given 21 minutes to answer 44 questions. So the decision making is 31 minutes. And the situational judgment is 26 minutes. So you might have, say, an hour. If I calculate it for you, which is, I'll calculate it for you so you know what it is actually going to be. So I'll get my calculator up, and I don't know how to put it on the screen. I don't know how to record a screen either. So bear in mind. uh, 24 minutes. 24. Add. 24 minutes. Add 13. Add 21 minutes. Add 31. Add 26. Add. Is that it? Yeah. It's 115 minutes, which make it 1 hour and 25 minutes is the exam. So it's less than 2 hours. But you need to be super, super fast, your reactions to the test. Okay, we're on page 8 now. Page 8 is 46 minutes. So, we're nearly on chapter 2. So maybe I should have a tea break and then record the next session. So I think I'll just pause it. Okay, I'm back now after a short break. I had a cup of Earl Grey tea and cardamom tea. I've written some notes that you might want to take down, which is that there's 233 questions to be answered in 115 minutes, which is about I think what's it, 2 hours. So it's a 2-hour examination, just a little under 2 hours. Each question is 2 minutes to answer. So you might want to take that down. So you need to have super fast reactions to the question, and you can keep practicing until the day of your exam with the videos that might help you. I'm on the last page now, which is level of difficulty of the UCAT questions. So the questions are drawn at random from large database of questions, and every candidate is therefore likely to be asked different questions. This reduces the possibility of cheating. If the test to be taken over a period of 3 months, although the examiners are trying to ensure that their questions are carefully collaborated so that on balance the test remains fair, we know from experience that the level of difficulty of the questions asked can vary from candidate to candidate. Maybe I need a magnifying glass, particularly, or new set of glasses, particularly in the quantitative reasoning section. In the quantitative reasoning section, and some past candidates were given a majority of relevantly quick questions, whereas others were given a majority of questions which required more thinking time and more calculations. The average candidate will be given a fair mix of both, but you should expect some variations. So they say in the book that the exam is 1 hour 55 minutes. And the time for instructions is 5 minutes. And the total time is 2 hours. So I would say 2 minutes. Test yourself at 2 minutes for each of the 233 questions. And have an alarm clock nearby. Okay, we're on chapter 2 now, which is this. We have 50 minutes on the clock, so it's about an hour to read one chapter. Without talking, it could be less. How the UCAT is marked. Marking of the UCAT. Each subtest of the UCAT, except the situational judgment section, is allocated a score between 300 and 900. The score is not a simple allocation of points for each correct answer. Instead, your number of the correct answers for each section is compared to how well candidates have done in previous years, and scores are then allocated in relation to the performance of those candidates using complex statistical tools. Now, I don't have a school test from years past because I've never applied for this course in my entire life. This is my first time that I'm doing this, and probably the last time that I'll do this, because I'm going to be doing very, very well, because I don't want to fail. Sorry, I'm very, very determined to pass at least 78% or more, depending on how much I study, how much testing I do for myself. And I don't wait for the last minute and say, oh, I'm going to be having a test, right? Like all these retarded students, right? They leave everything to the last minute. So I'm going to be making sure I'm familiar with everything. I know it like the back of my hand, like making a cup of tea. And I'm going to be even asking myself questions when I am actually watching my own video. And then I'm going to be recording the tests and the verbal answers that I give, and they're going to be timed, and then I'm going to be uploading those videos as well. So everybody has a chance to revise with me. So those that are lucky to actually find my videos and revise with me, they're the lucky ones. Those that didn't have the help, or you could call it charity giving, they're at a loss, right? No one knows what university I'm going to, and I don't know yours, and we'll just keep that a secret. But we know that we're going to do a UCAT test for the same UCAT test, right? So this is how I study. I'm 53, and this is how I study. With all the experience I have, and I actually do have an MBA. So maybe I should be a school teacher like my mother. Like my late mother. So, my son, when I did homeschool him, he became a property manager at the age of 22. And when I was getting evicted in 2018, the judge said he can't be a property manager. In 2019, he said that he can't be a property manager. I said, why not? He said, because he's too young. I said, no. I said, he's very highly educated because he was homeschooled. And he said, I don't believe you. I said, okay, fine. Yeah, so my son was better educated and intelligent than the judge and his children, because his children are wasters. And he was jealous of my son because he was intelligent and of an ethnic minority, and he didn't like it. And he told me that you need to lose your home because you should. The judge actually told me I didn't I have a right to live, and I even dyed my hair grey for him to sympathise with me. So I said, okay, this is the same a person, a horrible person, that's going to make a little old lady homeless, and her son is working to help her. I said, this is my future. I said, no, it's not going to be my future. Sadly, my son passed away because he was suffering from PSTD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So he passed away 2020 at the age of 24. And I feel like the judge, who may be a Freemason, cursed my son to die, not to help me. But we did end up getting our home back. The council kindly helped us to pay our arrears off, and they kindly did the same thing again. And I do actually had a lot of help from my spirit guide at that time, which was called Lilith. Goddess Lilith really helped me out back then. She's also a vampire. So she's not a demonic deity, she's a vampire. A vampire from the Middle East, Goddess Lilith, and she helped me through, because all these people were being horrible to me and they never wanted me to just finish my education basically. And now I'm in the all these horrible people, right, in the world, not just in the UK. When they're sick, in a sick bed, vomiting and having diarrhea, they cry. And they say, we're suffering so much in our life. And that's when they have no ego, you see. You see, when they're not ill and they're not vomiting and having diarrhea in their beds and waiting on a nurse of ethnic minorities to help them, they got no ego. When they're like fit and healthy on their high court, judge sitting there like a god, they feel that they are superior to anybody on earth. But when they're sick and ill, they're like, can you help me please? And then they remember all the horrible things they did to people and they never helped them. So it's just an ego trip basically. So anyway, I don't have an ego, and the Lord has blessed me, and the goddesses have blessed me, and the gods have blessed me, and I'm always open-minded anyway. I've always had an open mind as a child, as a teenager growing up, as a young woman growing up. I've always had an open mind. If this is going to help me have a better life, I'll do it. So, as we were saying, it means that in order to get the maximum score of 900, you do not necessarily need to answer every single question correctly. I think it's a contradiction because you have to answer every question correctly to pass the test. It's logical, right? So I don't agree with that statement in this book. You simply need to do well as some of the best candidates in the previous years. No, I'm going to do better than any candidate in the previous years. because that is my goal. I'm determined to make history at the age of 53, 54 at that time, of being the oldest graduate in the entire university in medicine. And that is my goal. And others might say, could we have you on a study group to do the study skills in this university, because you've obviously outbeaten everybody who was younger than you. And I mean, that might happen. It's a possibility. Because I'll just say, how can you graduate and you're almost 60 years old? And I'll just say, well, because I keep reading. I don't watch TV. I don't even have a TV. I just keep reading books and books and books. I had to throw 100 books out because there's no space to keep it. So I said, I'm never going to use these books anymore, so I'll just throw them out. So the other one is the situational judgment is marked using a complex matrix-based system. The only other question that I have is that, is it compulsory to have marks from past tests? Because I don't have marks from previous tests. But you need to have what? Between 300 and 900. So we'll say 900 is like band 1, first class degree. 600 would be like a second class degree, band 2, and band 300 is like a third class degree, of what, below average. So I would say you have to probably get 600 points or above to be selected as a guide. They didn't actually say that in the book, unless it's somewhere else. So the situational judgment is marked using a complex matrix system. See the situational judgment marking schedule at the back of the mock exam section for more details, explanations. The score is then converted into a band 1 being the top, band 4 being the bottom. Okay, so they don't have a band 3, they have a band 4. Once every section of the test has been marked, the score are communicated to each university with a full breakdown of each subtest. Each university then uses the results that it receives about each candidate in a way that it sees fit. Okay, I'm just using one university because that's the closest to me. The others are too far for me to travel to. It's basically like being a nurse, which is you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, leave home at 6 a.m. and go there. Actually, there is one that is close to me, but I'm not too sure if they'll stigmatize me because of my home address. Yeah, it's one of those universities that they don't take students from certain areas, or they don't take students from certain accommodations. I'll tell you one thing, my landlord is a billionaire, so they should be thinking twice. And what they call it the law of attraction, and they ain't going to be having that anointing from my billionaire landlord. or what they call it, the luck of the billionaire landlord, or everybody wants to be your friend because you're a billionaire, right? So my landlord is like that. He's like a billionaire. So it's the biggest housing association in Europe. So it's not like a personal person, right? It's like an association organization. Um, so it's not just anybody. It's like elite. You would call it the elite of the housing associations. If you want to call it elite, yeah, like the elites hang out together, the Illuminati. Yeah, my landlord's like that. So I want to go to the one that I picked because it's the closest to where I live, and that's that's the reason why I'm local. So I would say because I'm local, I should get a place there because I'm local. It's not because it's an Ivy League university or anything like that. It's just because it's local. Um, they got like a hospital that's nearby. It's very connected to where I live. So the other issue is once every section of the test has been marked, the scores are given out to the universities. Okay, I'm having one university. The new university then uses the results and receives about other candidates in a way that it sees fit. Okay, so you're going to be in a competition with other students to get a place at the university. So you need to have very high scores. Also, they're going to look at your academic qualifications as well and look if you can actually pass the course. I think it's to do with passing the course more than anything else. Also, it's to do with medicine, right? You need to be very quick thinking when you are looking after somebody, basically. I mean, I do understand that I'm going to be a junior doctor maybe when I'm 60 years old. And my senior doctors will say, yeah, I know you're like older than us and you have 40 years caring experience of adults and children, but you're still a junior doctor. So I do understand that and how people will say, but don't you see it's unfair because you've got so much experience from previous years? And I'll say they might have the right to say that I'm still a junior and I'm never going to be a senior until like when I'm 70 or 80 years old. But I said at the end of the day, I've got more experience than them. I've seen a lot of things. I mean, I'm specializing in resuscitation medicine, in emergency medicine. That's what my specialization is going to be. So I don't want to do other types of medicine. I want to just do this. And because my son died and my parents died, and I'm like wondering if there's nobody specializing in resuscitation medicine and they're a doctor, why are they in a medicine for? If somebody's dying before your very eyes and you say, well, basically I didn't study resuscitation medicine, I can't help you. I mean, that means the paramedic is more qualified in saving someone's life than a medical doctor. So there's important things that need to be questioned, which is when you're going into medicine, every doctor should be qualified in emergency medicine because they're dealing with patients. That person could be having a crisis, a moment, and You're just going to say, well, I'm not qualified to do that. And if you're trained in resuscitative medicine, you can save a patient just like that. Or the doctor in a hospital setting can say, well, I know this doctor, Elizabeth, is qualified in emergency medicine. She can help us because the paramedics are all out on emergency calls. There's nobody here in a hospital. And then we don't have a crash team anymore because of the NHS cuts. I mean, I know University College London had a crash team because I needed resus in 2003. I needed to be resuscitated because I actually died on the operating theatre. It was an emergency operation. I actually died because I was asthmatic, and the general anaesthetic was very, very bad for me because I was asthmatic, and the operation took longer. So because I was sedated for so long and I was asthmatic, I actually ended up dying, and I needed to be resuscitated and put into the intensive care unit because the first operation went wrong. So I don't actually know if someone cursed me or the person who was doing the operation wasn't actually qualified to do it. They were like a trainee doctor. So I don't actually want to be a surgeon because I just want to do A&E, accident and emergency, and that's it, because I would be qualified and trained in a crisis. So if a family member or a friend had a crisis, I would know what to do at that time to save their life. Or my neighbours around me, they might say, oh, well, you know, Elizabeth is a doctor. You know, if we have a crisis, we can just call her because she's a qualified doctor. You know, so it helps anyway. So okay, so you need to just say, study as much as you can and revise. Time yourself and calculate how much your time test that you do at home is, and from that test result, you just keep improving yourself, your results, until you get your test coming up. Yeah, when you're doing your final test at the university, then you can say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I practiced so hard at home and I timed myself and I got my place. Okay, the next thing is, here are some examples of the ways which universities have used the UCAT results in the past. The test results are averaged across the sections to give an overall score of 900. Only applicants with a score above a given cut-off mark are considered. A score of 600 out of 900 has often been used, through some universities have been known to use lower cut-off marks. As I was saying before, that 600 is probably a second-class degree, like band 1 average. So you can aim for that, as I said before. You can aim for that and higher. This is actually the first time that I'm reading this book. I have another book that I'll be doing the same sort of stuff with. I can barely see. I think I need to get new glasses. These glasses I got in 2022. So I need to get a new set of glasses. There are some universities known to be used low cut-off marks, and fewer universities known to use higher cut-off marks as high as 700. Universities may use a different cut-off point each year depending on the number of applicants which they are prepared to call for interview. So I've got this, my pendulum. It's a moonstone pendulum, this one. I've got my pendulum board there. It's actually a Norse pendulum board. So I asked my spirit guide, depending what deity I use, what the question to the pendulum would be, what score is this university using? So you ask the pendulum what score a university of will be using, and then you allow the pendulum to go to the numbers on the board or the letters on the board, or go to yes and no, and then the pendulum will spell it out, the score that the university is using. So then you can work yourself up to the score that university particularly wants, or they're looking at it, or you can channel the examiner's thoughts, and the examiner's thoughts you channel through your mind, which is mind readers, like the tarot readers, and then you're connecting to the examiner's telepathic energy, and the board will tell you what number they're looking at. If you've got questions about tarot or anything like that, you can just put it in the box for the comments. The results of the 4 sections are considered separately. Candidates are expected to achieve a given cut-off mark in each of the sections. Okay, we'll read it from this page. So, if you wanted to know, candidates are ranked according to the average UCAT test results, and only those in the top percentage, 20%, 25%, or 50%, pardon me, depending on the university and the year, are invited to the interview. So when you pass the UCAT test and the selected percentage, they're looking at 600, 700, 900% pass, then you're going to be interviewed for the MBBS or the dentistry. What this means for you, the issue of a likely cut-off point between adopted by many universities means 2 things. You must identify your weaker areas and practice the questions for the tests. I would say aim high. Aim for the 900. Do your best to get the 900. That's what I would say. Tests which might cause the most trouble so that you maintain a high score. I would say Keep on testing yourself. My mother was a teacher. I'm a teacher's daughter. My mother would say, aim for the top mark. Aim for the top mark. Keep repeating over and over again everything that you're learning. Like a parrot, like a tape recorder. Sing it. Memorize it. Have a visual memory. Do visualizing meditations. There's a lot of things that you can do to strengthen your memory. And those I'm going to upload on videos. The visualization meditations. The issue... Okay, sorry. You must consider the issue of the mark that you are targeting in relation to the time that you know it takes to do an exercise within each type of test. For example, if you know that you keep getting your sums wrong when you calculate too quickly, you must want to attempt only 80% of the exercises in the quantitative reading test. Number one, when I was a child, we had to know our times table by heart in our mind. We didn't use calculators. Calculators weren't allowed. So if I was you, I'd learn your times tables. If you don't already know it by heart. And I think that's where schools went wrong 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, that they started having calculators in the classroom and the children weren't able to remember their maths, their times tables, and their parents probably didn't even teach them at home. My parents taught me at home because most of the education today and what was 40 years ago was the parents would teach children 80% of what they know, and then the teachers just teach them 20% in school. And I saw the same pattern repeating with my children's education when they went to school in the 90s. That the teachers weren't teaching them. The teachers were like an overpaid babysitter. And I was sitting there in a classroom wondering, what is the teacher doing with my children? And then I said to them, well, don't you have this in school, and don't you have that? Don't you have the Richmond test, and don't you have the Cambridge reading series? And they said, we've never heard of it in our life. And they said, did I go to private school? I said, no, my parents did. And they went to private school abroad. And they said, well, we can't afford that because we're state school funded. We're not private school educated. We're not private school funded. So we wouldn't know all these things that you're talking about. So I was like, okay. And most of the schools that I went to when I was a child, I went to Catholic schools because I was raised Catholic. And my parents were Catholic. My father was Orthodox Christian, and my mum was a Catholic. So we had a different structure of education. And I noticed when I went to the non-church schools, they were a bit crazy, the children, and they were not even teaching the children traditional maths. It was called Smile Maths, and it was like puzzles. And I was like wondering, and my father kept on arguing with the teachers that this is not mathematics because you can't get into medical school with this maths. And they said, but most of these children aren't going to go to medical school. And he said, but so, but yeah, but I wanted my daughter to go to medical school. And then they said, well, this is what the government has given us. If you've got a problem, go and talk to the government, go talk to the politicians. Why then not having mathematics in state schools, the proper mathematics, traditional mathematics, like algebra, trigonometry? So, okay, candidates are ranked according to the average of the UCAT test scores, and only those in the top percentages. Okay, another point is that you see all overseas students in university, they learn traditional mathematics. This is the issue with the education system in the United Kingdom that has been destroyed by the Conservative government for 14 years and before, which people didn't actually see. And they were like wondering, well, in university, there's hardly people, any local people in the universities. They're all from overseas. And it's like, why is that happening? And it's probably because they can't even get into university, because they don't even have the qualifications to get into university, which is the basics, which is to be, if you're going into medicine or nursing, you need your science and you need your maths and your English. And if you haven't passed it, you're not going to be able to get in. And we're talking about A levels. It's not a question of their complexion, shade, or their name, or their religion. It's their qualifications. So you need to be studying in the library instead of going to the clubs or hanging out with your friends on the street and thinking that your qualification's going to drop out the sky, because it's not going to happen. You have to do it yourself. And the reason why you need to study in school is because when you get to university, the university is thinking about getting the cleverest children in the classroom, the cleverest students in their university, so that they can be number one on the university ranking worldwide, instead of at the bottom of the league tables for universities. Because if they're always going to get students that don't want to study, that have low grades, they're never going to get up on the league tables to university. And this is why it's so hard to get into some universities. It's not because of your name, it's not because of where you live. I've got into a top university this year, but I don't want to do the course because I didn't think about the work placement. The work placement is 30 miles from where I live. And I said, I would have to win the lottery and buy a house there to actually do the course. And even when I'm qualified, I'm not actually going to have enough money to support myself. So I said, okay, I'll be the doctor. Because I'm really good in immunology and medicines. But I said to myself, I'm going to get myself into £40,000 worth of student debt, and I won't be able to pay the debt off and look after myself. So I said, there's no point doing it. I mean, it's just myself. I have to look after myself. I don't have any parents. My parents died a long time ago, and I'm single. So I need to kind of look after myself and my cat and my home. So I need to make sure that get into a profession that I can look after myself, look after my cat, look after my home, and look after my pension, when I'm a pensioner, and have a little bit of extra savings that I wasn't able to do before. I mean, I do want to buy a farmhouse before I retire. After I retire, I want to buy a farmhouse because I was raised on a farm as a child, and my parents lost the farm because of the government's what was it called, compulsory purchase order. And I said, if I ever have the money again, I would buy that again. That was probably the most happiest times of my life. And I used to go to the cattle market in Hertfordshire with my parents to buy the chickens, the poultry. And I was like a little farmer when I was 3 years old, between the ages of 3 and 8. I was like a little farmer. I had my own little farm, and I wanted to be a vet at that time to look after the animals because I thought we'd have it forever, right? So do sympathise with the farmers and how they got robbed basically for this Tory H2H train thing. Was it Richie Sunak? He said that we're going to do compulsory purchase order on all the farmland, and then the farmers sold off their land cheap to them. And then when Richie Sunak took it off, and then he said, "I'm not going to do it anymore." The farmers said, "Now to buy back the land, when we can't do that because we didn't sell it at market price." And they said we had that farm for generations, and it broke our hearts when they did the train line. They wanted to build this massive train line, and then they just when Richie Sunak took over, I think from, is it David Cameron or Boris Johnson? Boris Johnson wanted to train, I think, and then Richie Sunak took over, and then he said, "I'm not going to do the train thing," and then they lost everything. They probably say the property prices would have to come down to like the 1970s, and for that to happen, there would probably have to be World War III. It sounds drastic, but property prices after World War really do get reduced very, very badly. I don't actually want World War III. To be honest, I don't want it because I know property will crash very badly. I mean, it would. Anyway, we're not going to be talking about economics. We'll have to keep to the book. Sorry for going off topic. Anyway, that's my plan. My plan to go into medicine is to get my farmhouse after retirement. So locums have paid a lot of money. Locum doctors have paid a lot of money. It's not working for the NHS. It's private, with an agency. Like my mother was in a teaching agency. She was paid a lot of money. So that is how you make your money as a doctor if you are a locum with an agency. So I should be making a lot of money. I probably won't have a personal life. I'll probably just be working and working and working all the time. Caring about people has been my entire lifetime. I used to be a prison chaplain. And I used to love looking after people, basically. And to me, it's not hard to look after someone. When doctors and nurses complain about looking after someone, it's like, why is it such a problem? I mean, my entire life, even as a child, I was a child carer from the ages of 10 to 18, took after my father. He had a stroke. He had 7 strokes and then he died. And I said, how can it be such a problem to look after someone? To say, okay, you need to take your medicines now. Here's your cup of coffee. Here's your lunch. Do you want me to comb your hair? Because my father was paralyzed. I mean, it's like, it's a normal thing to care about someone. It's a normal thing to want to see someone happy. And when doctors and nurses say it's just too hard, I'm having a mental breakdown, I'm like wondering, okay, if caring about someone is too hard to do, you shouldn't be in the medical profession. You shouldn't be in healthcare. Perhaps you want to be a bus driver and just drive a bus. Because if you're in healthcare, you should be concerned about humanity, wanting humanity to be better than what it is. You know, if someone is ill, you want to see them get better. You want them to see them playing around in the park. You want to see them running track or whatever they wanted to do. If they wanted to drive again, you want to see them driving. You want to see them happy. You want to see them opening the car door. If they were paralyzed, and they have that hope, you know, when your brain thinks positively that I'm going to get better, I'm going to get stronger, it's really going to happen. I've set my goal like the 15th of October. You know, they're looking forward to that day. I'm going to accomplish that. And then the brain produces brain chemicals to make you feel happy. And that helps your patients get better. You know, my mother told me when I was 7 years old, and she said that you had such terrible injuries getting hit by that car. What made you want to survive, to live? And I said, my Alsatian dog Sheba. I wanted to see her again. I wanted to play with her again. I wanted to comb her fur. I wanted to brush her fur. I wanted to feed her, give her water. I wanted to do all that with my dog. And she made me that hope I had as a child of 7 years old improved my recovery. I was paralyzed. I could barely walk. I could barely speak. And my consultant at that time told my father, your daughter is really a miracle. He said that her recovery, from all the medical books, she's not supposed to recover like that. She's supposed to be in a wheelchair. Because the injuries that she had and the brain trauma she had was so horrendous that she wouldn't be able to speak, walk, talk, see, because she had a very, very, very bad brain hemorrhage and also a fractured skull, and she was paralyzed. So I made the recovery. It took me 2 years of physiotherapy at the Royal London Hospital, and they were very dedicated. The team that I had, which was called Janet and Christine, the 2 physiotherapists, I remember them very, very much. Thanks to them, and we used to play ball to bring back my movement to my hand. Also, my father was a great believer in Our Lady of Lourdes water, and how Our Lady of Lourdes, the water, made the water on my brain disappear. He told the doctors to scan my brain again, and miraculously it just disappeared. The water in my brain disappeared. It was like a miracle that I received when I was 7 years old. But as I said in the book, coming to the end of this chapter, it says that practice. Sorry, you can see what it says in the book there. Is it which page? Practice. As I said, and my mother said, well, she's a qualified teacher. Ultimately, your goal should be to achieve the highest possible score, as I said before. Worrying unnecessarily about any cut-off point you may or may not exist in such and such a university is a secondary matter. Do the best that you can. Set your goal at 900. Test yourself continually. Write everything down. Buy some notebooks. Write everything down. Test yourself on webcam and upload it on your channel, and then you can improve yourself that way. It doesn't say that in the book, but I would say record yourself on webcam and upload it on YouTube, and then you can go back and revise what you need to know. To help you achieve this, the practice questions and the mock exam contained in this book will help you understand your requirements of each of the 4 main tests and will help you build a range of skills and techniques which will ensure you to save a considerable amount of time. And we are on the quantitative reasoning. 204 practice questions and answers. Yippee! We've achieved it. I'm going to have another break now. It's 1 hour and 43. But I'm going to have a tea break and I'm kind of hungry. So I'm going to have some lunch. Okay, see you then.